Hello and welcome to the Monkey Bubble Eurocup fundraiser. In the coming week, 18 teams from as many nations will show you what they can do to represent the countries at the World Cup. My name is Yale Mansa, your Monkey Bubble MC for the evening, and with me is the capo of conversation, the Tsar of trivia, and the finder of fact, Commander X.
Hey Ollie, how you doing?
Perfectly fine, thank you.
So I'm really excited for tonight. Lots of good teams playing, all the World Cup teams. I'm really excited to see what the squads have. We get to like a sneak preview basically before the World Cup starts proper. Money up for grabs, loads of ways that they can donate to us as well, and even increase the money from the prize pool. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, right. All right. So there's a prize pool that will be divided between the teams, with the highest placed teams that still need funding to pay for the BlizzCon appearance going first, and so on and so forth. And the prize pool is made up of donations for you guys and of merch sales, and we are hoping to fund as many teams as we can to go to BlizzCon. You can find the donation buttons directly below your Twitch window. And there's something to be said about the merchandise that different teams have been come up. Commander, why don't you chime in on that one?
So yeah, as well as the big Matcherino page with all the donations, I think we're already over $600. Now we'll be going to first place. There's also merch for each of the teams on the Monkey Bubble store. A good proportion of that, I think 50% of the sale value goes directly to the team, or whatever country the shirt, the hoodie, the whatever is for. So that's a great way to donate. And if you want to support someone specifically, or if you just want to buy it because you just like the look of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to do that right after this game. Team Germany all the way, you know it. But that's not all. We also have something for you, for our viewers. You can win €20 gift cards by following Monkey Bubble on Twitch, retweet the giveaway announcement, and for each dollar that you put into the prize pool as a donation, you will get two entries to the raffle, which will be resolved on the 8th of September. So, you can win something. These teams can win something. We are getting to see some great Overwatch. So that should be fantastic. Now, on to what we're actually here for. What games can we look forward to?
Oh, 2 seconds, Ollie. Small correction. I said sale value, but it's actually 50% of profits for merchandise. But hey, money's money, and every little helps push these
Oh,
teams
yeah,
towards BlizzCon. But yeah,
definitely.
sorry. The games. We're starting with Switzerland against Israel. So two teams that aren't really full of your superstars, full of your headliners, but they've been working just as hard as everybody else. And I'm pretty excited to see this first game and our first look at Sigma in competitive play.
Oh, yeah, the first look of Sigma in competitive play. Just a quick reminder, we are the first ones, even before the Overwatch League, to see an official tournament with Sigma in there, with the 2-2 fully locked in. So this is going to be some great fun. So in terms of the teams themselves, what can you tell us about our first contenders?
So Switzerland, a team that have quite often made it to BlizzCon or made it later in the tournament, but has never really made an impact. I think in 2018 they went winless, but this roster is completely different. The only player returning is Helve, the main tank, who some of you might recognise from contenders. Other than that, it's a brand new team. Lots of players I'm not super familiar with, but I'm excited to see what they can do and what they can put together, especially in this very fresh meta.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What about their opponents, Team Israel?
So Israel weren't in the World Cup last year, didn't make the cut. The year before, the players you might remember are players like Kathy and EQO, obviously. Notably this year, EQO is absent from the roster, has opted not to play. Can't find an official word on that, but my presumption is he wants to spend his time focusing on Philadelphia Fusion. So that's fair enough. We accept that. But they've still got a pretty good roster. They've got Dark Artes and main tank, who anyone who's been watching South American contenders will recognise from the Outlanders. But probably more notable is Awkward from Triumph, who will be playing the flex support. Triumph obviously come from Open Division in North America last season, and they took contenders by storm, making a good dent into playoffs and really starting to establish themselves as a brand and an org. So Awkward, probably the big name on that roster.
Oh yeah, definitely. So when we're looking at the team matchup in terms of power, they should be roughly the same. I mean, there's two contenders players on Team Israel. There's just one Helve on Team Switzerland right now. Looking at their track record in the previous World Cups, we can see that we have a couple of players from Team Switzerland who played the Overwatch World Cup in 2018. But what about Israel?
So it's basically a brand new roster. I think a couple of players are returning from way back, a couple in 2017, but that was obviously the roster that didn't make it. So I think Awkward was in that, as well as Sean P, who some people might know, and as well as Alive, who again, lesser known players, but they've been in it. But this year, they've got a revamped roster. Dark Artist and Kanassen coming into that tank lineup, I think will make a big difference. And as I'm sure we'll see later on tonight, it's a lot of this meta is about how well your main tanks can do, whether that's the Orisa Sigma combination or the Orisa Diva combination.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now remember, for the people in chat, these players, these teams are working towards going to the Overwatch World Championship. Now that is a big deal, and you can help them out. So click on that donate button in the lower right corner, just below your screens on the Twitch. Help them out, and also show us in chat what you are expecting to see. Show us who is going to be winning this matchup, and we will see whether or not you are right. Also, go to Twitter, go to monkey_Overwatch, and help us out with the raffle. Get yourself in there, and maybe you will win something at the end of this week. Now, what do we know about the maps that they're going to be playing today?
So you're going to be starting on Ilios, and then it's losers pick from there. So the one thing about these teams and all the teams in this tournament is because they're basically brand new rosters. No one's really just bringing taking a say a contenders team or an Overwatch League team or a tier 3 team and just translating it into their national team. So it's all brand new rosters. So the map pool in itself is a little bit up in the air. Ilios, we're going to be starting on a pretty classic control map, one that certainly does favour the Orisa, particularly and the Sigma. So I expect we'll see Orisa Sigma from both teams in some form, and it'll just be the DPS and how they choose to go with that, which I think will be that's where we'll see the flexibility of these teams.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of a lot of great leeway here, especially looking at Team Switzerland, looking at what you just said. They have a couple of great diva players in there. I'm looking at Phalanx, of course, and Tankyo, both great, flags off tanks, especially Phalanx. I've seen some of his footage, and it is absolutely great. The way that he positions himself is just magical. He is there when you need him most, when you need him, when you need him where he is at that point. So there's a bit of an upside on there. But what can Team Israel put up against that one?
So I think two things to highlight. I mentioned them briefly earlier, but Dark Artist and Kanassen. Worked with Kanassen before in the past. He's a super vocal guy, a great leader, a great motivational leader as well, not just in terms of like a tactical approach, but in terms of keeping spirits up. We've seen what Awkward can do in NA contenders. So I think if Kanassen and Dark Artist can lead from the front, as I expect them to, I think there's a real chance here they can do some damage to Switzerland.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, since we are still waiting on these teams to be loading in anytime soon, I would like to point out yet again that if you want to get any cool swag, specifically made for the teams by Monkey Bubble or their own merchandise, you can find the shop. The button for the shop just under this video, and a chunk of the proceeds for these things go directly to the teams, and these teams really need help to get in there to get into BlizzCon, because it is very expensive, especially from Europe, to fly over there and to be ready to rock the house over there in, I believe, in Anaheim. Is it still in Anaheim?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds correct. That sounds roughly correct, at least. That's all we aim for. Roughly correct.
Roughly correct is the best thing we can do. That's right. Now it would be fantastic if we could get a word in on when we are going to when we are going to actually see the game. Well,
Yeah,
when
we're,
they are
we're
going to
12
start.
in lobby right now, so I expect we'll start shortly. While we've got a moment, I think it's worth shouting out. While simultaneously, there's two other games going on right now, and if you want to interested in those games, maybe Israel and Switzerland isn't your thing, we'll forgive you. But Poland are taking on Greece over on the Caster's Nest stream, and Norway are taking on Germany over on Titan Media. Warning, they're not as English as us.
Oh, they're definitely not as English as us.
So you might have to either learn French or Spanish quickly to fully understand, but the energy and the passion will be there.
Yeah, that is right. And if you are, already fed up with the Englishness in this channel, you can see buttons for the French and for the Spanish channel just below the feed, just there. Our colleagues over at over at the other casting production firms are very good at what they do, and they will be sure to entertain you right there.
Well, we've got a moment. I think it's also worth noting how exactly this cup is going to work. So all the teams we're watching today, I believe, are in the same group, which is Group D. And there are 4 groups altogether, with 5 or 4 teams, depending on which group they're in. They all were 5 teams, but unfortunately a couple of teams had to drop out towards the last minute, but that's fine. Out of these groups, the top 4 teams are going to advance to a single elimination bracket, and from there, it's just a straight on single elimination bracket all the way through to obviously a grand final and a first place, who will get to write their name on that big old check to help send them to Anaheim for the World Cup.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And, to go even further, if you are fed up with just regular standard Overwatch, Monkey Bubble will be showing you a lot more cool things. We have Widow 1v1s. We have Torbjorn 1v1s. We have Trampoline Reinhardt, all the cool things. So these teams have agreed to make this a really fun month in the next coming weeks, to show us all kinds of things that these pro players can do, in terms of workshop formats and things like that. And we will be streaming and commenting just about all of it. So if you are into, some crazy Overwatch made by pro players, and I know most of you are, that is something to absolutely keep an eye on. And we will announce, of course, the running times of those on Twitter, and if I'm correct, also on the Monkey Bubble website. So that is all the household things that I have to say for right now. No, not entirely. What about the interviews? We're going to have interviews. What can you tell us about that, Commander?
So yeah, after each of the games, we're going to get the winner of whoever won the game on for a quick, short interview, asking about how their preparation's gone, how they're finding it working with the team, and just generally how they felt the game went, and what they're looking forward to, and their plan to get their spot in the World Cup.
Oh yeah, that will be absolutely cool. To see what's in the mind of these people. Right after a match when the adrenaline is still pumping. That is something I'm looking forward to. That being said, we have just loaded into Ilios, the beautiful Greek place that looks quite rusty. Once again, in terms of the map, we have an open center, lots of little alleyways, so a lot of time to play around for flankers. How would you go about doing this, Commander?
So it's a pretty open map, so there's a couple of options. You either just rush to the point with, say, a Reaper mate, and you look to just take fights from there as your stronghold, or you can also use Pharaoh Widow, which is something we've seen a lot of teams do, and then you just make it super hard for the other team to move anywhere across the map. So those are your 2 main options, but both really involve either the Orisa and the D.Va, or the Orisa and Sigma.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at what we are working with here. It looks like Team Israel are going for a double here, double tank in there with that Sigma and that Orisa. Sigma, of course, is very interesting because you can block those little chokes up while the Orisa does what Orisa does best. So take a corner of the point and jump in there. But how do you play around this double tank combo?
Yeah, it's all about setting up your DPS mainly. And we can see the Symmetra being run from Switzerland. Definitely expecting the mirror matchup here. So that Symmetra's going to be crucial. But an early kill onto Niv might just upset that.
Absolutely. Overwatch just finds the target right there. Jaden also in trouble, going low, being able to carry on the point. And Elf is going down. Switzerland now in trouble. Both tanks are down, and this should be a first point capture there for Israel, who are taking the real estate without much of a trouble right now.
From Israel, we really saw the sort of staple of what's been meta in the current scrim environment. The Orisa, the Sigma, the Reaper, the Mei, the Moira, the Lucio. It's fast, it's close, it's double shield, it's hard to dislodge, and it's great in fighting on point. We saw a Reinhardt and a Symmetra come out from Switzerland, and they're really good against that kind of thing. See, Reinhardt can swing through it, Symmetra gets supercharged from it. They lose their Moira early, and that's a real problem with this fight. So they should stand a much better chance in this fight. Interesting though, the D.Va instead of Sigma.
Oh yeah, that is right. But you have these big rocks that you can lob. you have the you have the absorb ability that gives you a lot of staying power. So a Sigma is one of the greatest things that you can do, and that is exactly what Israel is banking on right now. Even though they're on a bit of trouble right now, Switzerland is coming in there. Awkward is able to get Jaden down there with a very nice ultimate, greatly done. Knassen is helping out there by getting Mr. Boba away from the point, and the point is still in the hands of Israel.
Really nice ult from Knassen, and you just see the benefit of winning that first fight and being slightly ahead in ult charge. 3 players on Team Switzerland at 95% or more just don't have their ults in time to bail them out of that situation. Now Israel encroaching on 70%. They've got the Blizzard, which is absolutely devastating in this matchup, and they've got the Supercharger, so it's going to be a really hard engage here. They might just have to try and teleport them to the point just to try and close the distance.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that coalescence just now was so, well played out there. And look at that. There's the Death Blossom coming in for a life, taking down Jaden. He had to pull back, though, as the Blizzard is coming out. And now the counter Blizzard coming from Sir Gibbons as Team Israel has to pull back. No one back there on point. And this looks like a positional advantage for Team Switzerland, who are just coming in there and are trying to take it over just a second before the overtime wick is running. Overtime now running in. Awkward with a second coalescence, and it looks as if Israel are giving Switzerland a run for their money, and that is a lot of run right there. Finally, Awkward going down, and the overtime wick running out there, and Israel is showing us a very dominant first round.
Absolutely. Great from them. Another big ult from Knassen. One of the slowest charging ults in the game. Also can be quite easy to escape from, especially with the heroes we see in this meta. Not a lot of heroes can escape Sigma's ult, but all the ones in this meta pretty much have an ability one way you'll be able to get out of it. But either way, I think Israel played a much faster game. They played exactly their game. It looked like Sir Gibson had a great May ult, right? It looked like he turned it. He caught Israel slightly too aggressive. Knassen finishes it again with that ult. Now we'll see what their approach is. It looks like Switzerland again want to stick to the D.Va, but this time the more traditional Reaper coming into it. So we might be in for a bit of a closer matchup here.
Yeah, it is an almost mirror matchup. The only difference right now is the Sigma versus the D.Va there. But like I said earlier, Phalanx on D.Va is very impressive once you look at that. The map is more open, so we'll see whether or not the Sigma, who is very prone to being flanked, can just out sustain the damage that is coming in there from Team Switzerland. And we are off to the first point.
All about the Reapers on this one. Who can set up the flank? Who can set up the angle? We see an early wall from Aviv, but they don't really find any damage. Jaden just playing with him, but it's Alive who actually gets the first kill straight over health. Huge advantage for Israel, Ollie.
Yeah, that's right. Alive taking on the second one as Jaden goes down. Mr. Boba goes down by fall of Awkward. And once again, it looks as if Israel takes the early advantage right there. Even though Knazen goes down, Israel have been taking over the real estate and now are setting up for an aggressive defense very far forward.
So we saw Jaden play very much with Team Switzerland, who found themselves boxed in that corner there, and I think that really limits his options. We didn't get a clear view of it, but I'm pretty sure Alive came in from a more, like a wider right flank. Nat pulled resources in a different way, and at that point Switzerland have a choice. Deal with the Reaper, deal with the front. It causes chaos, and that's where Reaper thrives. Walking in again now, Sir Gibson pretty close to that Blizzard though.
Yeah, it is, and Knazen is very close to that graphitic flux. So a lot of AoE ultimates in there as Alive finds Mr. Bobo. Switzerland wants support down. Nif on the coalescence gets a Vive down there. So there will be no May versus May fight. And Awkward with the coalescence now takes down Nif, is able to get some help from his team. And it is Switzerland who are down for the count yet again and have to reset as Phalanx jumps down to not get staggered about.
Again, a good start from Switzerland. They catch Aviv out of position, wall him off, focus him down for coalescence, all looking good. And then, again, Knassen with that big ult for gravitic flux, I believe it's called. Might have to, we're going to better get used to saying that one because it seems like we're going to see a lot of Sigma. And so far, it's working out better for Israel here. In control of a point, Aviv nearly out of Blizzard. Switzerland, probably one more shot here, Ollie.
Yeah, but Gibson right there, who has the May ultimate right there. The Blizzard is ready, but looking at the ultimates in total, it seems like Israel has a bit of an edge in terms of pure stopping power right there. So we'll see who pushes the trigger right now, even though Switzerland is the one in trouble, is the one who needs to make something happen.
Oh, get
And they are
Seaton.
trying to push in right there. Knasen gets Sir Gibson in there as Avive gets, Avive gets Sir Gibson. And once again, Israel is holding all the cards here. The overtime week already running. The Blizzard, they're putting in defensive as Awkward just pushes the trigger. And that is that. Israel wins the first map of this series. Well done.
Emphatically as well. Gotta say, Knasen really seems to be the standout player right now. The whole of Israel are playing well together, and you can't not do well if you're not playing well together in this kind of meta. But Knasen, he eats that Blizzard from Sir Gibson. We talk about what a pivotal ult it can be, and to just lose it to the kinetic grasp there of Knasen, huge blow for Switzerland's chances in that fight, and ultimately a huge blow for their chances in the map. And if Switzerland either need to dramatically improve in this mirror matchup, or they need to try and play something else, because if it's more of this for the next 3 maps, it could be trouble.
Oh, definitely. That is true. Now, what surprised me is the impact on Awkward's Moira. The Covalescence really can push a team back, but getting so many Ks of a Covalescence on a control point without being stopped, now that is something that needs to make you think, I would say.
I think as well, it's just reflective of Israel's better focus fire and the way they're better setting up kills as well. We talked about Jaden's static positioning in that first fight on Ruins, and I think Alive definitely had the better of it throughout the series. So I think if Israel keep doing that and Switzerland keep not having an answer, it's going to be really open for him. One thing I want to call into question as well is it seems like Phalanx didn't play Sigma once in that, and the general consensus, I use the term consensus loosely because it's just talk, is that Sigma is better than D.Va in the mirror matchup, but we saw Switzerland in particular not leaning towards that hero as well. So I think there's 2 possible explanations from this. 1, Switzerland disagree with the consensus and don't want Sigma. 2, Phalanx hasn't learned Sigma yet, so they don't want him to play a hero he's inexperienced on in this tournament. And both of those might be a problem.
Yeah, it's a risk to take to immediately just jump Sigma in there, especially with the stakes being this high. I can understand that, but Knazen seems to be perfectly, comfortable on that champion, being able to just stall out a lot of the attacks that came in from Switzerland, and just let the rest of the team move around him. In a way that Orisa just basically never could, because there are so many approaches, especially on that second point that we just saw in Ilias, and he was able to just lock up most of them, which was rather impressive. So I wonder why they're not doing why they're not doing that in the first place. It might just be a tactical decision, as you said. And we have a loser pick. The loser pick seems to be Havana. So that is an interesting one. Lots of people don't really like playing Havana, but it has taken over the pro scene by storm. What can you tell us about it? Why is that a case?
So again, like we said with map picks, it's a little bit we'll sort of learn as we go along here with all the teams because they're all essentially brand new rosters, brand new teams. But opting for Havana, going to start on that first point, that's pretty open. Then an enclosed second point, and then third point, that's pretty straightforward until you get to the archway. At which point, 90% of attacks just fall apart completely. So realistically, I think we're going to expect more of the same composition. Before the release of Sigma, it was very much an Orisa-based meta on Havana, with the Orisa, Hog, and then potentially a Widow for the first point and a Hanzo for the second point. So I expect us to be something quite similar, but again, with potentially Sigma subbing in for the D.Va or Roadhog.
Yeah, no, that is right. Though Team Switzerland, of course, could have a bit of an ace in the hole right there, because their DPS individually, at least when we're looking at their peak SR, should be should be a little bit higher than the one for Team Israel. If I read this chart right, so in terms of individual prowess, we might just see some DPS pop offs on Widowmakers, on those long range engagements, especially here on that first point. What can we expect to see? What do you think? What are the predictions?
So I think if we do lean towards Hanzo and Widow, I still think Sigma's better just because that, again, the big difference between Sigma and Orisa is Sigma's shield is constantly movable. So if you're disengaging, you can keep replacing the shield in front of you. In an Orisa v Orisa meta, one Orisa can overlap shields, and then you're stuck for, I think it's 8 seconds for cooldown. So then you're stuck for that period of time. With the Sigma, you get a constantly moving one. So I think that's a huge advantage to have in these sort of pick-based battles when we see the Hanzo and the Widowmaker. So, and also you can shut down 2 spaces at one time as well, is the other option. So if a Widow is on high ground, the Sigma can sort of do the role of a diva, but instead of using the defense matrix or shifting to take a high ground, they can just sort of lock it off with their shield.
Yeah, no, that is that is right. And the attacking team right now, team Switzerland, are not opting for a very long range approach anyway. So getting close to Sigma in this case seems key, which is of course his biggest weak point. But we'll see whether or not they can actually manage to do that, as Israel has been setting up on the high ground, has been setting up with a double sniper and a Sigma of their own. So getting that payload and themselves close enough to actually do some significant damage might be an issue as we are out of the gate.
Great sightlines for Alive and Aviv here. So the danger for Switzerland is really making their way through here. Again, the Sigma barrier might have helped them more, but they're getting through pretty fine. Israel don't seem too interested in contesting. They want to fight them in this wider area where their snipers can get flanked. A lot of pressure on Jaden to find space because he is outnumbered, but it's Alive who strikes first, Ollie.
Oh, Alive absolutely does strike first, and we see the payload now slowly moving around the edge. Now, this is the critical part of the first push. We already see that Team Switzerland are getting a bit low. Health is going down. Alive finds him there, gets Phalanx out of the mech. So both tanks suddenly down, and Alive has a free play. Knasen gets Gypsum out of it, and Team Switzerland have to effectively return to base and regroup.
I think you need to look at Jaden and Phalanx here to try and take control on one of these high grounds, because if they try and they do win the frontline fight, but the problem is they have to take it in such an open area, they just get pinged from either side by various snipers. They need to clear out that top right high ground as a minimum, and then maybe they can take a more convincing fight. But they're antied right now, so they've got to play cautiously.
Yeah, and they are trying to play it cautiously, very slowly here. Sir Gibson already down, Mr. Bobo down, and it looks as if Alive is just popping off, taking Phalanx again out of the mech and just letting them run away, in order to stagger it out quite a bit. With 2 minutes to go, this does look like Team Switzerland needs to change it up, otherwise they will not be able to find that first point push right here.
It's not just not looked good, it's not even looked like it's been close or like Israel had been particularly taxed. Israel haven't used an ult yet, I don't think. They're just coming up to all 6 now. Alive's going to pop the infra site. Not going to do a massive much to help them, but will slow them down a little bit. But really we need something different from Switzerland. We need more commitment. We need them to clear out an area. They need to force a fight. They might still lose picks to the snipers, but they need to trade kills effectively. They have spawn advantage here. A fight and trades are okay. And here comes the coalescence to start.
Okay, yeah, and we see Knasen here ready with the ultimate, trying to side it up, and now finally popping it up, and this looks like this could be trouble with the double kill for Knasen, with a very nice flank here on that Sigma, one of the more mobile solutions. Once you're in the middle of a fight, finally goes down though through Sir Gibson's freeze, and now Team Switzerland are still pushing up. Alive and Knasen gone. Put's in trouble, so we'll see whether or not they can set it back up.
Seems absolutely criminal that Pud's got out there. Now Aviv can come back in with the Dragon Strike. He takes down Jaden and is pushing the flank, so Gibson has that Blizzard. They might need it soon because they're still in trouble here. Swaps coming in, a fast-paced approach from Israel, and they're swinging it back, Ollie.
Yeah, the supercharger is out there, and it looks as if Israel is not giving them any room to survive. Alive, popping off on Sigibin and Mr. Bobo with the 2-set. Knasen now on that hamster is taking down Niv, and it looks as if they're not giving them any room to set up another thing. With 30 seconds on the clock, Switzerland is in deep trouble.
Bit of a scuffed comp now with Knasen on that Hammond, but he has played it quite a lot before in the past, so it is something he's capable on, and it will be effective at just sitting on top of Jaden and making his life difficult. Final push now. They have the self-destruct, they have the beat, they have to make this work.
They have to make this work, and they have to make it work quickly. Sir Gibson trying to stop Knasen, who finally goes down there. Aviv, though. Aviv with a double taken on with Alive in the sides there. They are just crossing the streams at this point, and the Ghostbusters are in. Aviv trying to find and finding Niv, and it is over.
Huge from Aviv. Mr. Bobo had beat as well. I was just thinking when that first kill goes through, I think it was Aviv who got the first one as well on the May. I was like, you have to win this fight. Drop that beat now. Drop that beat now. Drop that beat now. Eventually, Aviv picks him off as well. And from there, you're 2 down. You've lost your main ultimate, and it just all falls apart. And unfortunately, that's a pretty poor offense, and Israel were going to be licking their lips at its opportunity to push.
That was an absolutely beautiful defense. I mean, you have these crossfires. They were absolutely fantastically set up. But let's see what Team Switzerland is going to do in order to at least balance this out. They seem to be the team that is a bit slower on the aggressive side, on the decisive side, but that can actually work in your favor on defense. Now, if you were Team Switzerland, what would you do, Commander?
So I wouldn't be surprised if Israel ran a sniper again in one form or the other, whether it's the Hanzo or the Widow. So I think you need to bear that in mind, and you need to have something that can match it of their own. The main problem they're going to have is because it's a first point defense, you have to kind of pick a composition that can do well against everything. You need to be able to deal with every possible threat, or you'll just be counterpicked. It's not normally the worst thing in the world because you have the second point and third point to adapt yourself. But because they only got it to just short of first point, they don't have a chance to adapt to defend. This comp that Switzerland have picked for Reaper May, they have to be able to take on any composition here. So if they're in the mirror, that should be okay. Even though they did poorly on Ilios, it's at least even. The problem is if it's something else, they need to play at a much faster pace. They want to play fast, they're playing at spawn early, they want to give no room to Israel whatsoever.
Yeah, very aggressive defense. Don't let them set up, especially with those aggressive and excellent snipers on their team. So you want to be in their face. You want to make sure that they can't get out, and that's what they're doing. The hold is coming out there. The rock is being thrown, and Knassen finds Niv. So it is Team Israel with a man advantage right now as Gibbon goes down as well. Dark Artist takes down Jaden, and it looks as if Israel will be able to make it out of the gate right away, just breaking that defense very, very far up there. Alive is just taking shot after shot, and now it is Team Israel who are parking this payload up.
Again, I'm not quite sure how Niv ended up dying first to Knassen. Knassen seemed to get so much damage there. We talked about how the Gravitic Flux was one of the slowest charging ults, but Knassen's got it before everyone. Before the Widowmaker, before Viana, and he's got it now for this next fight. It's okay for Switzerland because they took a fight at spawn, so they get one more fight, they get a second opportunity to defend this first point. Still 3 minutes to go, they've got to play wide, they can't all get caught by this Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, and they are all just standing there, all completely clutched up. And I wonder if they know that Knazen has the ultimate.
Oh,
it doesn't
no.
look like it. There's 3 people up there and not finding anything directly. But Knazen still finishes Jaden. That Reaper is out of the game, and that could potentially be huge. Now, Dark Arthur's putting up there, moving up together with Knazen in absolute concord. They are just altering their shields up and not giving Team Switzerland any approaches as they're going in there. The Blizzard coming out. Niv in trouble. Help in trouble. Knazen finds Sir Gibson, and it is Switzerland who cannot possibly put anything into that as even Phalanx goes down. The team kill is out, and so is that payload.
Cruising right now from Israel. They killed. Great job from Knassen. He targets the exact right people. He kills the DPS. So then even when Switzerland stabilize and they drop that beat, and all of a sudden it looks like Switzerland can turn the fight. The problem is they've got Orisa, they've got Diva, they've got Lucio, and they've got Moira trying to do enough damage through double shields to force a kill or turn a kill against Israel. And it's just really tough without this DPS to turn it. So great target selection by Israel. Ultimately, it was always going to be a pretty straightforward attack for them, but you still got to make it work. You still got to put in the execution and make sure you get it, and they did. And right now, Israel 2-0 up, and they look pretty set to do quite well in this group.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do look dominant right now. Now, whether or not that was due to the form that Switzerland has showed us in this first match, I don't know. But remember, this is the first fight of the entire tournament, which means that there will be many chances for Switzerland to still grow in there, wake up, as they say, and just find their place among the highest groups in the tournament to go into the knockout phase. But, looking at this game right now, that doesn't look very likely, or does it?
No, I think you were right the first time around. I think Switzerland are in trouble here. But the big silver lining is one of the teams that had to drop out was in Switzerland's group. which means the two teams we're seeing here, and Germany, and off the top of my head, Norway will all get a spot in the single bracket elimination, or single elimination bracket. That's the right way around. But but obviously it is all about seeding, right? And because it is a single elimination bracket, so anything goes wrong, all your chances at that prize money are gone. So you want to secure the safest route possible. So the higher the seed, the theoretically the safer route you have secured.
Usually that is the case, yeah.
But obviously, the other side to that, from Switzerland's point of view, is they've got 3 more games, and they can't get eliminated no matter how hard they try.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, what is more devastating for your psyche, you know, especially as a semi-pro or pro player? Would that be elimination in the group stage, or elimination in a group stage that you basically cannot get eliminated of? I would wonder that. So
defying the laws of the tournament to get knocked out.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, it is for start. It is the first time this team, I believe, they've played a proper official, probably for a lot of these teams. So this is the first steps we're seeing right now. So they are shaky steps from Switzerland, but there's a long way to go between now and the qualifiers for the World Cups. And there is time to improve, and there's time within the span of this tournament to improve as well. So it's not all doom and gloom for Switzerland, but there's certainly work to do.
Yeah, no, that is right, and it looks we are ready to set up the next map as the teams are getting ready to set it in any further. I mean, does Switzerland still have a chance to turn this around? That is the question right now.
There's always a chance, but I think there's 2 approaches you can take here if you're Switzerland. You can either take this and maybe you can try to do something weird, something a bit off meta to try and catch your opponents off guard and find a way to win. Or you can just treat this as a practice exercise at this point if you feel like maybe it's beyond you beating this team right now. Use it as a good chance to practice in a tournament setting, to practice in front of an audience, and to practice against the comps that currently they're not winning in. Because one way or another, I think if you want to be a top team in this meta, or in any meta, you have to play the meta to a certain degree. Very few teams are going to be that meta breaking, meta shattering, find that composition that just upsets everybody. Very few teams are going to do that. So every team's going to have to play the meta to a certain degree. So I think there's a big chance here for Switzerland just to focus on improving in that.
Yeah, no, that is right. And as much as I love an underdog or a crazy idea that has no right for working but still works, I don't think we're going to see it in this setup, because the meta right now, even though it is a new meta, is pretty much already set on this May Reaper kind of combination, and we can also see that on the picks right here. Once again, the only difference at this point are the off-tank picks, with Knasten really surprising me. You know, with his effectiveness on that Sigma, I must say, absolutely top notch.
Again, he's the first person to play it in a proper tournament as well. We touched on at the start of the tournament, it's the first time we'll get teams to see it in a professional setting. Knasten going to be the person who makes that debut on the behalf of Sigma, and he's putting in a great debut so far. And again, it looks like we're in this May Reaper mirror once again for the start of Hollywood.
Oh yeah, and they are coming out of the gate right now. Team Switzerland are trying to get some more tempo in there as they're rounding the first corner. Setting up on the high ground is Jaden. Let's see whether or not he can actually make something happen from up there, or whether or not he will just be used for shooting. But it looks like his team is pushing up with him, and now it's a Reaper versus Reaper setup, and the Team Switzerland is pushed into a corner as Phalix takes down Alive, though it is still 5 versus 5, and Switzerland is long from being pushed up, but Health in trouble right now as he has to push away around the corner.
They don't have to disengage fully because of this type of meta. They can even coalescence out. They do have a Reaper respawning, but aggressive play coming through from a V to try and freeze them, and they turn the Aristical off that, but it's traded right back, Ollie.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, it's a 5v4 right now. Switzerland still in trouble though as Mr. Boba goes down. Health already go back up. Alive finding 2 targets, and now it is Phalix trying to get over the wall, but the mech pops, and it's a reset for Switzerland yet again. But it was a lot better in terms of aggressiveness than what we've seen before.
I think the idea from Jaden was good. You saw him take the high ground, look for that engagement from a different angle. We saw it very well from his point of view, though. You saw that the aggression from his team didn't seem to match his play. So then he wastes his Wraith form, gets halted back in, gets picked off, then Switzerland forced to fight in a dangerous position. Now all they've got is the Blizzard, but it's Israel who are walking forward here. They use their Blizzard first.
Oh yeah, they are, and it is Alive who is now looking for targets in there, even though he was on his Blizzard alone, but he has his Death Blossom ready, so he will most likely just be resetting and seeing whether or not he can find something. So Gibson in trouble, going down by Dark Artist, who is standing up there with his Supercharger out and a very aggressive setup. Jaden coming in from behind, but cannot find any time to sub it up. The Diva Bomb up there, not finding any targets, as Dark Artist is able to get out of it, together with Awkward, who are just valiantly holding the point. It is now the ultimate for this Sigma, finding a target and Mr. Boba. Jaden on the Death Blossom finds two, though, and now Team Switzerland are finally finding their stride, and it looks like they can just take that payload in there for that first push on their end. So the first point not successfully defended. Let's see what they're going to do with it.
I like the idea from Israel, the idea to play aggressively when you've played a lot more reactively previously so far in the series. A change of tempo can catch teams off guard, and it looks good that Sir Gibson already had the Blizzard. Counter Blizzard, make space, and from there it's just a messy fight. Works out okay. Now we're going to move on to second point. Lots more high ground, and we see both swap on over to Widow right now. Jaden versus Alive. Alive definitely had the better series so far. We'll see if he can continue it on this hero.
Yeah, that's because Jaden didn't really get any room earlier in order to make something happen on a Widow. So we'll see what is going to happen. Niv right here, though, is ready with the ultimate, ready with the Covalescence. So we will see whether or not they can actually make something work the way that their counterpart Awkward did in the first round. The Blizzard is out, though, and it is Israel who are just cleaning up even seconds before that payload moved out. There's still 3 minutes on the clock, but it's a very aggressive defense here coming out of Team Israel.
Exactly, another aggressive Blizzard. This one goes a lot more smoothly for them and allows them to win quite efficiently. The best thing about winning a fight with just Blizzard is because everyone's frozen, it allows everyone else to build their ults as well. And you've seen that right now on the Israeli side. 4 ults already ready to go. Switzerland slightly behind, but they do have support ults, so they can keep this fight going for a bit.
Yeah, including Alive on that wall hack, so they also have something to just deter or at least win the information warfight. There's Israel coming in with another great ice block right there. Oh, sorry, with an ice wall. It is their May that is just pushing the rest of Team Israel aggressively in there. Alive finds Mr. Boba. Phalax has to pull back, and it is entirely the entire team of Switzerland who now has to push back. 2 minutes on the clock, and it looks as if Israel are back in control of this one.
I think the main problem here for Switzerland is Alive has such significantly better positions to choose from than Jaden. They either need to clear out the right side flank to get Jaden onto the high ground and get him some room, or they maybe need just like a hero swap to say a Hanzo or something a bit more front loaded to try and punish the front line of Team Israel. Either way, Widow, anything can always happen, but they need to do something because Alive is just picking them off as they come through here. They need to do something about Alive.
Yeah, and it looks as if Knasen, though, is ready to just fire it up, waiting for that little setup where Team Israel can just turn it around. There's the hole, the rocket's jumping out, but there's a Diva Bomb coming in from Phalax. Let's see if it can find any targets. Most people seem to be safe. Dark Artist taking up the double, and it looks like Knasen doesn't even really need to use the ultimate in order to keep that payload exactly where it was right now.
Good decision by Israel. As soon as they see that bomb go off, they spot an opportunity to go aggressive. Dark Artist drops for Supercharger, Aviv on the Blizzard. They get good value out of it. Now Jaden over to Reapin. This is the hero swap we were talking about. Now they can take that frontline fight. Now it's all about the Israeli team staying alive long enough for Alive to find value, because by default, Switzerland should win the front. Plus they've got the Blizzard, plus they've got the Beat, plus they've got the Supercharger.
Yeah, and they need to be able to do that. I mean, the aggression is still on side of Team Israel, as once again they are 2 people down. It looks as if they don't really want to push forward here. Switzerland, at this point, looks like the defending team in terms of how they are being pushed back by a relentless onslaught for Team Israel, with Cards just taking down Jaden yet again. And, you know, Team Israel doesn't look like they have to move any further backwards. They could just defend here for all they care. They're
picking off players now as well. But that last fight, it was all like we talked about if Alive can find value or if more precisely, if Switzerland can get value before Alive can. Alive kills the Orisa straight away. Then that pushes so hard. A desperate push now, but they're pushing into so many ultimates here, Switzerland.
Yeah, no, that is right. Now Switzerland is coming in, but Knazen with the ultimate immediately gets blocked though by the sound barrier. Knazen only finds Phalix, but that is a very important kill because Phalix was now trying to get some momentum going in, trying to get some pressure up on Team Israel, but that immediately gets countered with him going down and Knazen's ultimate, and that is the end of this round. Let's see what the turnaround may bring.
Is brutal, isn't it? Switzerland, it seems like they're moving in the right direction, but again, Israel are always a step ahead. Alive had a great series there. The front line again had a great series. Again, it's only one game, but I think it definitely still leans towards the idea that Sigma is better than D.Va in these kind of shield matchups or these Orisa-based matchups. Or maybe Israel just better anyway, but that certainly seems to support the theory so far. And again, this should be a relatively straightforward attack from Israel, all things considered.
Yeah, especially like I said, it's a number of pressure. You know, you see a lot of real estate, a lot of room being generated by Israel's tanks, and I really believe that comes down to Knazen versus Phalox. These two off tanks are trying to do something different, and there's a question in chat that I need to reiterate here: why is Phalox not playing that Sigma? Because he can really just make some room for the team.
So they seem to be swapping it around now. I'd be interested to see if they stick on this. And it looks like Phalix is going on to the Orisa, which I think does support our theory from earlier that Phalix isn't comfortable on the hero, which is somewhat reasonable when it's new, but also there's a lot of people who are already pretty good at Sigma, so if you really want to be up there with everybody else, then you need to be matching them for this practice and this improvement and this development on this new hero, because clearly Knazen's put in the work, right? We can see that as a fact. I know there's a lot of other off-tank players who have put in the work. Seems like Phalix hasn't right now, so instead they're going to try Helve on it. So reversing the roles here for Team Switzerland, we'll see if this brings them any more success.
Yeah, and look at that, Knazen on that Wrecking Ball, so they're trying to make a lot of room very quickly, just get that high ground clear, push them out of position, and see whether or not they can make enough space in those short bursts in order to get Alive and Aviv there where they need to be, namely in the middle of the enemy team as they round the first corner. A little thing that I need to highlight here, we are already up by $684 in the prize pool. So thank you for the donation so far. And I would like to encourage everyone who wants to wants to have a chance at our giveaway to donate, to help your favorite team to go to the World Cup. But right now, let's jump right back into the action.
Big shield matchup so far. V finds that opening kill. Looking good for Israel. It's a complete melee around right now, but you can see Knazen just recycling that shield again and again and again, pounding on the damage. Alive comes from a different angle, and that's when the kills start turning. And all of a sudden, Israel have a first cap. Israel have a coalescence in the bank. They nearly have Blizzard, and it's looking good. It's basically one more fight for Israel, and this will be 3-0 in the series.
And that's right, and Awkward once again is just showing off what a Moira can actually do. Such a dangerous support player, such a dangerous support hero as well, and this seems like a combination that was absolutely made in heaven. Now, I know that Moira mains had a bit of a rough last season, but it looks like they are back on the menu, boys. So let's see what's going to happen. Israel going through the choke, and V very close to that Blizzard ultimate. So let's see whether or not they're just going to use it to push, and it is off. Blizzard going out Alive, looking for Sig Gibson together with Knazen. Helm is going down as well, and that was it. Very fast for Israel. Very short way to walk there. So that is not, a big surprise, but the way that it was executed, especially that first thing, beautifully done, and Awkward getting the play of the game for a reason.
Let's see if he does more than 20 damage on any of these kills. No? Yep. No. You think? Maybe more than 20. Not a lot, though. These are kill steals. These are kill steals. I don't want to undermine them, but those are kill steals. Anytime a Moira's on a kill streak, it's pretty much kill steals unless it's coalescent. But either way, he did play well. We shouldn't diminish him too much. But I think that's just some classic Overwatch we saw there, right? First fight, one team wins. They have that ult advantage going into the second fight, so it's pretty straightforward to snowball the next fight. Unfortunately for Switzerland, that's all they managed to achieve on their attack. So that one fight and the snowball fight, and you've just lost the map. So we are going to play out the fourth map, same format as Contenders or Overwatch League. The only slight difference that won't come into play in this series, but might do in other series, is if we go to a tiebreaker map, the team that lost the previous map gets to pick the mode between control map and escort map, which is slightly different in Contenders and Overwatch League. It's you play controller, you don't play.
Yeah, that's right. And a quick reminder to the people who are watching these fantastic games right now, whether it's this one or what was it, Poland versus Greece, or one of the other channels. Remember, we are playing in contenders format, so this is a best of 4 with an optional fifth map. So let's see what is going on in the map pick.
So yeah, going to be over to Switzerland to pick again. Obviously, at this point, they know the series is beyond them. Map difference will still be important, especially with such small groups. So even the max group is only 5, right? 5 teams, so you'll play 4 matches maximum. So if you're only playing such a small number of games, it's more likely that you'll end up in a tie in terms of your win-loss ratio. So map difference does become a big factor and can quite quickly change your seeding position by 1 or 2 places, depending on how the group works out. But it's Horizon we're going over to, and this does play differently than what we've seen before. So maybe there is a chance for Switzerland here, because I think Assault is the sort of map you can just sort of big range strategy-wise.
Yeah, you could do a lot of crazy things on these assault maps. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. Maybe we can actually see some crazy things right now. Now, a quick reminder yet again to all you people listening out there. If you are as hot as we are right here in the middle of the Netherlands and in the middle of England, remember that these teams have some fantastic T-shirts up for sale for your favorite teams. You can support them. You can support their road to the BlizzCon by getting their merchandise. A lot of the proceeding, a big chunk of it, is going to the teams directly. Go to the shop and have a nice little browse while Commander X is going to tell us what we can see here from the team setups.
Oh no, I'm looking at the t-shirts as well. I think I might get a Saudi Arabian one.
A Saudi Arabian one. That is
Yeah.
super cool. Yeah, I've seen the designs. That is right. So,
sorry, distracted. You asked me about the teams, right? The setups.
Yes, please.
So Israel starting on the May, starting on the Widow. So again, a lot more pick based. Switzerland sticking to this Reaper May. So Switzerland will win a frontline fight. That's what their comp is designed to do. They will be better at it, but they need to get there first. Horizon, there's a few different paths. So there's 2 options. If they try and rotate towards the Israeli team, they'll probably just get rotated. So better option might just be to move directly towards the point. With Jaden swapping over to Symmetra, it might just be a teleport play, and they ping-pong their way to point, take the fight there, and that'll be difficult for Israel to deal with.
Oh yeah, that's right. Especially since they are very stationary in their original setup. But Alive already was on a little cheeky, scouting mission. Nearly found someone. Now has a nice little flank angle here, and we can see them just popping off. Sir Gibson is already taken out of the equation. Phalix in trouble as the mech gets exploded, and it is Health who is standing at an off angle in the middle of the entirety of Team Israel, not able to get out there. Nif getting picked up by Alive just there as well, and that was some class A off angling here by one of the greatest widows that this tournament has to offer.
Exactly. Alive there just playing Duck Hunter, completely unchallenged, and that's what I was trying to touch on a little bit earlier. Switzerland took that fight by going directly into Israel, which allowed Israel to have the fight in the exact area they wanted it to, which was why Alive had such a good angle. Switzerland need to force the fight in an area that favours their composition. That means using this teleport and going to point, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they are. They're in the middle of the point. Jaden already up there, setting up the nice little, the little bots right there. Alive, though, touching on 3 people as Knazan takes down Jaden, and that push was over before it began. Wow, that was some off-angling right there, and Alive is showing why he's worth the money.
Exactly, he gets big value again. It's hard to tell because that should be a pretty safe play. At least, you get to the point and then whatever happens there, happens there. I feel like the defense matrix was maybe missing. It's hard to tell real time when you don't have the full view and you can't rewatch it. But I feel like no one should die during that teleport here. And now they keep the Symmetra, so it's going to be the same play again. Problem is now Israel are expecting it.
Yeah, there is no more surprise right there, and so the Spanish Inquisition can be expected. Health pushing in there together with Mr. Bobo, but immediately Ice Wall is just blocking off half the enemy team. The Coalescence is coming in there for Niv, but the team goes down as Health, Mr. Bobo, and Jaden are already out of the equation. Knazen finds Sir Gibson, and once again, the Swiss team is finding themselves back at spawn. Now, a quick question right there to you, Commander. I just got the question: what was the tournament format yet again for the people who've missed it on the first one?
So it's going to be a group stage, 5 teams, 4 teams, depending on the group. Top 4 teams from each group. So in this group, all teams go through. They go through to a single elimination bracket, at which point it's just a straight up bracket. Winner takes all. They get that prize money on that Matcherino page. You want to pump up that prize money? Go donate right now. I think we're just shy of $700 already. It's only day 1.
That is beautiful. 56 seconds on the clock. And Jaden, once again, leading its team through the teleporter, going for that same little flank. You would say that they would have learned from that, because Alive can just go on the broad angle there and find you out there. At least they're waiting for the team right now. Sir Gibson, though, close to a blizzard. Let's see whether or not they can force the issue. The hold is coming out. The ice block is coming out. And immediately, it looks as if there is trouble right now, though, for Team Israel. Knazen going down. Aviv in trouble. Not going down though, but Dark Artist down. Now Aviv finally getting down, and it is Team Switzerland now in the advantage as they're closing in on point. Point should be going there to the people from Team Switzerland.
Great wall and blizzard from Sir Gibson. He's had a couple of decent ones so far in this game, but they've not always been able to convert them as a team, but Sir Gibson's often set them up pretty well. Except for that one he got eaten on Hollywood, but we won't talk about that one. But still, good start here. Gets him the first point, gets him that 3-minute extension, and now they've got ults to keep this one pushing. They choose to stick with a Symmetra, who's not as good on second point, but she does have that big old wall to drop on this one, and that'll be a huge advantage. That should allow him to get to point pretty much for free and avoid another death to Alive.
Yeah, that is true, but Knazen still has that ultimate, so if they come in as a close unit, we've seen what they can do with that, and now it is time for 3, no 4 people to actually jump
out of it!
It actually got stopped. It's got Knazen not able to execute that. Not anyone going down. Knazen and Dark Artist gone. So Team Israel without any tanks right there. And it looks as if they are finally pulling themselves off their bootstraps. Team Switzerland now in control. Looking at what's going to happen. Aviv dropping the blizzard. Aviv and Alive popping it out. And now Team Switzerland getting back in there, but that was very close to a double cap, and I can't believe my eyes. Knazen looked so well and had laid it out in that last little bit of his ultimate.
I'm not sure of the exact interaction there. I don't, because you get damaged when you go up, you get damaged when you come down, and he got frozen before the down, so I don't know if it still counts as cast or not. Either way, it looked cool, and I think he maybe was frozen out of it, because it didn't seem like that much damage went through. Hard to tell because of a beat. We'll have to look that one up. New hero, lots of weird interactions. But again, great play from Sir Gibson. It looks really good. But again, we talked about how good Blizzard can be. And how good was Blizzard for Team Israel there?
Oh wow, Team Israel were able to save their hide on that blizzard, and that was Aviv basically saving at least this map from getting downed out. So that means another minute on the time bank here though for Team Switzerland, and they need to find a venue to get past Alive before they can fully set up there, which already happened, as you can see on the high ground bunker on the left side.
Yeah, left side is where they're going, and it seems like a good option. They could push all the way through left, play from that Mega, and it doesn't really shut down Alive, but at least takes different threat. But now they're going to teleport aggressively up, choosing to stick with the Symmetra. Now the Coalescence on point. Opening kill. The Blizzard doesn't go through. It's cancelled.
Oh wow, it is! And Alive is to blame yet again with a beautiful headshot. Dark Artist follows it up by getting Jaden out of it, and it looks as if Team Switzerland, though still on point, cannot really make that happen, make that work. You know, with Dark Artist in your face, Niv and Folox had no choice but to die.
With the Symmetra in the lineup, the idea I think Switzerland are going for is for Symmetra, obviously, she doesn't have to reload if she's shooting a shield, right? Her beam just gets bigger and bigger, she doesn't have to reload, which makes her really good in that matchup. The problem is, it's good in the matchup, but it's good in a slow way. Whereas Alive can be good in a fast way if he can find a head. So the time difference between when Jaden gets the value compared to when Alive gets the value is too big. Now they try and wall them off aggressively. Doesn't work. Switzerland are pushing anyway. They need to touch. Bomb
Diva
out.
Bomb coming in there for Switzerland. There is no one in trouble right now. Aviv getting into the ice block, you know, as a bit of a precaution. Alive taking down Nif and Jaden, and it looks as if another one of those pushes goes down, but they're not over yet. The overtime week is still running. Still 2 people for Switzerland on the point. There's a Lucio ultimate coming in. Alive though, popping off, and that is it. The first map, the first game of this tournament, and what a fest it has been.
Whoa, Ollie. You've called it too soon. There's still Israel still have a chance. They still have a chance. Don't count them out yet. Give them a chance, Ollie. Come on, it's day 1. Give them a chance.
I was so excited by this one. You know, that last push looked like it was a start or lose everything. But you are absolutely right. Team Israel now on the attacking side. I am terribly sorry for that oversight. You know, Team Switzerland still has at least a chance to save their honor here, and we will see how they can do on the defense.
So one thing I do want to say about Switzerland and their attempted attack, they didn't complete it. But one thing we've seen in the Overwatch League, we've seen in contenders, in an Orisa-based meta or any kind of shield-based meta, attacking second point is brutally difficult. So compared to, say, the GOATS meta that we saw previously, where it could be like a 6-all scoreline quite reasonably, and teams can just snowball pushes, the rules have changed to prevent snowballs, as well as the comp has changed. So for your double shield, hard to push, hard to convert 2 points on. So this is perfectly defendable for Switzerland, and Israel have to do something here. Don't know if they'll run the Widowmaker on the attack as well. Could work. Could force a fight on point, give Alive that far back handle to pick people off on. We'll see what they choose to go for. But Switzerland starting with the Hanzo here, so they at least have a bit of long range damage, Ollie.
Yeah, no, that's right. But once again, we see Switzerland opting for a single shield defense. So I put my money on Team Israel, especially, you know, since they have a lot of pressure on shield, and if they go for the off angle, it is Alive who is just showing what a Widow can do, and I must say I'm loving it. But let's see what's going to happen here. I mean, Jaden has the opportunity to just try to outflank it or take the 1v1 versus Alive on the elf angles, and now teams are going in there, and it looks as if Israel are just taking the far left side. They're taking the scenic route, and it doesn't look like they are getting stopped by very much. Phalix taking down Pods, but that's about the only thing happening as Alive takes down Phalix's Mini Diva. Aviv taking down Niv, and it is Israel who are already blocking it up, and that is the power of that double shield. And a Symmetra with a level 3 charge beam is a force to be reckoned with in that close encounter.
Exactly, works out for Israel, even though they kind of mess up the teleport, so they don't send their tanks with it. The 2 left behind have a shield each, so they can make their own rotation there. And we see the exact same thing as on the defense on first point. Israel force the fight where they want the fight to be, and Switzerland should be playing the faster paced comp that can stop them doing that, but they're not able to right now. Now they walk into second, and they're getting dangerously close to that Symmetra ult.
They are definitely getting very close to it, but Aviv going
Doesn't
down
matter.
at this point, so it does not really matter. Knazen trying to get out of that, being pursued here by Sir Gibson. Jaden taking down him and the other tank. So now Switzerland in the driver's seat, at least for the moment being, and Israel is the team that needs to pull back here.
That's what we want to see. You see that punch come through with the Symmetra and the Widow. It gives them very little in terms of frontline pressure. Sure, their frontline for Israel can survive a long time because it's double shield, but it means Sir Gibson and Jaden, they have better damage and better displacement, and you saw that exactly there. So it's a bit of an awkward one for Israel to take, but they have the Symmetra ult to make space, and they can use the Sigma ult to try and turn some kills. Walking in again here, Ollie.
Yeah, Convalescence is coming in, countered here by the Dragons for Jaden. Sir Gibson has his Blizzard. Will he use him? Yes, immediately. Coming out, but Knazen with a double here on his ultimate. Aviv charged up Symmetra and the ultimate to split it up. The team kill is real, and so should this cap, because I do not believe that anyone is getting on point fast enough. Not if Alive has anything to say for himself, as Jaden gets shot out of the sky. And this time, that should be it.
Israel convert again, another convincing round from them, a good attack. We saw a very similar situation, right? Switzerland had the same option. They pushed with a Symmetra shield onto second point, couldn't find the value. Israel do a much better job. Switzerland all a bit too grouped up. Once again, Knassen with big value on that Sigma. Great performance from him throughout this series. And Israel looked like if you ask me at the start of the tournament, I'd say Germany should be standout favourites for the top in this group. But I think Israel do stand a chance, and we might just find out in a little bit later, Ollie.
Oh, yes, we are. We are going to see Israel versus Germany up next. And, not only the fact that Germany has a very strong roster, you have to know I am a born German. So that means I am maybe a tad biased, but I hope that won't come out in the casting. But the first thing we are going to see, next up, after this fantastic match, this showcase of what this Israeli roster can do, should be an interview with Dark Artist. So while we are looking forward to speaking to one of the winners of the first game in there, we will once again point you out that you can buy your merch, your Israel merch, right here in the Monkey Bubble shop. Help fund the teams, help fund Team Israel to go to the Overwatch World Cup. But for now, welcome to Team Israel's Dark Artist.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great. Feeling great.
That is fantastic. I saw on Twitter a few of the guys are together in Tel Aviv, just actually playing in the same location. So you've put off the first win. How did that impact the way you played right now?
I mean, to be honest, it was expected from our side. We were comfortable and very, very confident in our play, and we didn't think it would be that big of a problem. We saw Switzerland as a threat because we didn't have any information about them. But yeah, I think it went pretty well according to our plan.
All right.
So,
So yeah, go on.
I was going to say, so last year, Dark Artist, Israel didn't make for World Cup. This year, it's even tougher. Only 5 teams are going through. What's your preparation going in, and what's sort of your plan to try and make sure you are one of those top 5?
I think it's like all the other teams through hard practice and dedication. If we pull up the work and show results, we will get them.
Fair,
Okay.
fair. I want to ask you about Sigma. So, from my experience, it seems like most teams are leaning towards Orisa Sigma. We noticed
Yep.
Switzerland didn't seem very comfortable on it at all. Either Falix couldn't play it or didn't want to play it or something. And that seemed to be a real problem for them. Do you think it is Sigma Orisa is the future of this meta?
Sigma, since Sigma is a new hero and like not a lot of people know how to play exactly against him because he's new. But I don't know, he has so much damage. He has so much survivability. Like I think it's really strong in shield versus shield battles.
Yeah, that absolutely seemed like the thing. And Knaarsen seems to be very comfortable on him.
Yep.
Did you practice the entire combination beforehand, or did Knaarsen just come in at some point and said, you know what, I'm going to try this Sigma. This should be good.
I think we started practicing it like not too long ago. Me and Klassen have like natural chemistry between me and him with Sigma. So I think that's a big part why we play him. But yeah, we didn't start playing him long time ago.
Yeah, it showed like you guys alternating the shields very well. You know, taking as much space as you possibly can. So your next game will be immediately after versus Germany. What are your expectations?
I expect it will be a close game. Germany is not a bad team. They have really experienced players and good ones, so we won't underestimate.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. But what do you need to do? I mean, you know, Germany has a strong roster. You know, it's going to be a close game. What does Team Israel need to do in order to win that? What is well, you can't tell me too much of the strategy, but maybe a point or two, just for our notes.
Um, I think the key player is ready since it's a May meta and his May is really good. So if we can counter him and like not like, give him any move to like any space to move, I think we will be on top.
All right, Commander, you got anything for a friend here?
No, I think we're good. I'm just excited to get on with the next game and see how you guys stack up. But I think winner of the next game, probably a good chance of finishing top of a group.
Yeah, that's something that I would really like to see. So we are expecting great things from Team Israel, especially after a great first match. Congratulations for that one. We will hopefully see you in these winners' interviews yet again. Looking forward to it, and good luck with the tournament.
Thank you.